I'm going to be controversial. I'm not going to ask about democracy and the challenges for leaders to implement democracy. I'm going to ask about growth. Because when we look at history, we see it as mostly, not always, but mostly, economic growth that leads to social change and then leads to pressure for democracy. So I want to ask about growth and the role that leaders can play in driving growth, especially in Africa. Yes, there's lots of constraints, things like infrastructure, but these are all solvable. We can throw money at infrastructure, we can solve those things. Even capacity can be built. But I want to ask about vested interests in the political economy. This is the real difficult issue that really holds back growth. It stops innovation, it stops the churn of companies, it stops investment and dynamism. And when we look at the African economies, we see there's lots of vested interests. There's entangled relationships between politics and business. Not always, but quite often. So what role can leaders play? I think the most important thing they can do is to untangle those interests and separate business from politics as much as possible and open that playing field and let the private sector come in and play, albeit with a valid role for government. But even government could be more effective when that's been separated. So I want to ask the panel, do you see this as important? And if it is important, what advice does those leaders out there that need to have the courage to challenge the systems and the incentives that brought them to power, what advice do they have to us in how we can support them?